I wanted to real quick jump on 2K real quick just to get a little bit of background footage here. Um, I want to talk about something that's been going on in NBA discourse here recently. Obviously, it is to do with the Lakers. They're kind of the talk of the NBA, with the Thunder looking like they're going to stabilize out instead of crashing and burning like everybody had hoped for. It, it, the Lakers right now are on a bit of a skid. The with recent losses to the Kings and the Hornets, and both of them kind of in embarrassing fashion, to what are commonly understood to be complete poverty franchises. Um, I wanted to kind of talk about something that I don't see this happen very often, but every now and then you have a player who is so talented come into the NBA, and the only things that can get questioned about them are just complete intangibles, or just a the flavor of their game. Shea comes to mind with this a lot. A lot of people calling him a free throw merchant. Luka obviously faces a lot of the same accusations, especially lately here. I mean, he's leading the league in free throw attempts. He's shooting like 12 free throws a game almost. Um, but right now, a lot of criticism is being directed towards Luka's effort. And I want to call into question, what NBA player do you know of that exudes 110% effort on a roster that is a complete joke? And I do mean a complete joke. This is not an NBA roster. This just isn't. There are five NBA players on this roster and a bunch of just guys who take up space on a court. There are not like legitimate stars on this team. There are not even solid role players. Austin Reeves is a bucket. LeBron James is still doing it. He is still a great source of heliocentric offense. He is still good at getting open looks for people. Um, my goodness, Luka Doncic may be one of the greatest offensive talents that we've ever seen play the game. Outside of that, Jake LaRavia and Rui Hachimura are the only players who should be getting legitimate minutes on an NBA team. Marcus Smart should not be in the NBA. Gabe Vincent should not be in the NBA. This guy DeAndre Ayton was cool for about the first half of the early part of the season, so for about the first quarter of the season. Since then, he has been abysmal. The Lakers are 11 and 0 in games where he records 15 points and 10 rebounds. Think about that. They're 11 and 0 in those games. Outside of those games, they would be a 500 team. Your team should not be relying so heavily on output from DeAndre Ayton. This man was almost out of the league. He could not get consistent minutes on Portland because he's just not a solid big man. The effort level isn't consistently there, and people want to direct this at LeBron and Luka. No, this blame all needs to be shifted onto the Lakers front office. This is one of the worst roster constructions I've ever seen. This was Can you imagine where the Lakers would be if they weren't gifted Luka and they had Anthony Davis instead, who just simply can't stay healthy? They're not in the hunt for a playoff spot. They just wouldn't be. I'm sorry. They just would not be a playoff team. This team wouldn't even be close to sniffing the playoffs. This is, simply put, just an absolute embarrassment and a disgrace to NBA level basketball. Marcus Smart, you look at him. He was supposed to be a great defender. Luca had spent some time actively trying to recruit him over the offseason because Luca knows what his weaknesses are, and that's defense, right? He knows he's not a great defender. He knows he's not the most athletic person, even just in terms of like stamina and things like that. You know, he understands his own weaknesses. He's not an idiot. He hears what everybody talks about. So Luca spends all this time in the offseason recruiting Marcus Smart, knowing, hey, I need a defender to play the off guard spot, or at least like a small ball three next to me and Reeves. Um, let's go get Marcus Smart. He's available for probably pretty cheap. And they got him cheap, but you're getting what you paid for, certainly. I mean, he plays like he's a cheap option. He is he still has the same flaws that he had when he was in Boston, where if he is not shutting off the other team's number one option, he is jacking 10 plus threes in a game, and he's probably shooting 30% from three, right? Luka shooting 30% from three is not the same as Marcus Smart shooting 30% from three. Luka shooting 30% from three is tough contested step backs because he's not going to get to the rim on that possession, right? Uh, what Marcus Smart going 30% from three looks like is a lot of wide open catch and shoots that are just missed in rhythm, good looks. That's about what you're getting from Marcus Smart on 30% from three. So these are demoralizing misses. These are misses that a good shooter would shoot about 40, 45% from three on, especially in the modern NBA where that's just such a coveted skill. That's about where like the top of the line elite 3-point shooters are at. Marcus Smart is shooting like 30% on these looks, and that kills a team's mojo. That just deflates them, right? This is a team with Jared Vanderbilt on it. Jared Vanderbilt is a bigger version of Marcus Smart, but with less defensive prowess. And certainly at this point in his career, he may be close to what Marcus Smart is defensively now, but he's not even like prime Marcus Smart, where he was just a consistent, good defensive option. Vando is not the move. Vando is a one-way player, and that one way is defense. He's a great offensive rebounder for his size. He has a nose for the ball. But those two things will get you played off of a playoff court. They will get you played out of a playoff rotation. You cannot get away with just being hard-nosed hustle, finding offensive rebounds, and playing a little bit of perimeter defense. You might be able to get away with that if you're like a great defender, like Lou Dort. But even Lou Dort can kind of shoot. Vando cannot kind of shoot. Vanderbilt is actually laughable from three. I don't know what the percentages are. I don't remember them off the top of my head, and I didn't do too much research. I really saw about one video and got really irritated at it because they were just trying to blame Luka for the entirety of this Lakers kerfuffle, and it pissed me off to the point where I wanted to jump on and record a quick summary of my thoughts. So um, Vanderbilt is a miserably bad shooter, and certainly when we talk about like trying to make a playoff run, not a playoff level rotational piece by any stretch of the imagination. Um, and it really is embarrassing that anyone would rely on him at all for legitimate playoff minutes. You then get into Rui Hachimura, solid player, good one dribble pull up guy, has a little bit of offense creation. Like I'm okay with him getting touches to give Luka, LeBron, and Reeves a break every now and then. And granted, we haven't really seen too much of Luka, Reeves, and LeBron. This bad stretch of basketball has mostly been with Reeves hurt, which is a significant deal to this roster. You can't really afford to lose depth when you have five whole NBA players on your entire 15-man roster. Bronny, he could be something in the future, but he's so darn small that you can't really like rely on him as like a defensive stalwart. He doesn't really have like the playmaking chops to be a Davion Mitchell type, and he certainly is not going to turn into an elite shooter just overnight. For some reason, these modern NBA players can't develop into strong 3-point shooters. Like you get guys like Giannis who go from just laughably bad to okay, he can like hit one every now and then, and you'll let him take three a game because he's a superstar and he's just going to like take some of those shots. But there's a lot of this like role players don't go from 35% three-point shooters to 40% three-point shooters. I don't know what the deal is with it, but that's just been a thing. Like no one develops a jumper anymore. Uh, some elite shooters make small changes to their shooting motions, to help them like get quicker releases or whatever Mikal Bridges decided he wanted to do when he got to New York. But like guys just don't develop 3-point shots like that. So like Bronny's kind of cooked in that regard. Like he's just not gonna like he's not gonna magically overnight transform into something insane, you know? That's just not in the cards. That's just not, it's not how the NBA works. So Rui is solid. Jake LaRavia is solid, and I watched a lot of him when he was in Sacramento last year after we traded for him, and I was really pissed off that he went to the Lakers because I kind of wanted him to stick around. I knew he was probably like a half year rental at the trade deadline, but I was holding out hope, you know, the way you do, you know. I just wanted to see him stay on my team because I think he's a solid basketball player. He's a respectable option, you know. He's a little inconsistent, but that's what you get out of role players, you know, especially with ones who aren't just knockdown shooters. Like that's just not in his bag, you know. He's a great rotational piece. He's a solid passer, solid connecting passer, solid, you know, um, solid enough shooter to where he's not, you know, getting you laughed off the floor for even putting him out there on the 3-point line. Um, and then you get into the clown show that is Maxi Kleber, a nice comfort piece, I guess, for Luka to remind him of home. To I don't know, maybe fool him into thinking he's still in Dallas by putting Kleber out there next to him. But Kleber's been a complete joke for a couple of years now. He developed a yips one time, and he never sort of recovered from that. I remember watching him in Dallas in person. You know, he just kind of lost his confidence one day and he never got it back. So, um, Kaliba is terrible. I've seen him get minutes. Jackson Hayes is atrocious. One of the worst players I've ever watched in the NBA. He is a foul machine. He is a freak of an athlete, but doesn't know how to use any of that. He's terribly weak when it comes to defensive rebounding, boxing out. I mean, we saw JJ try to give him minutes in the Timberwolves series last year, and JJ decided I'd rather watch Rudy Gobert look like prime Shaq against a bunch of 6'7" dudes instead of watching Jackson Hayes just completely fail to box out. So that's what that turned into. Jackson Hayes is a joke. Should not be on an NBA roster. I'd make the same case for Marcus Smart. I'd make the same case. Oh, Gabe Vincent. Gabe Vincent is supposed to be like the sniper that comes in off the bench to give him some floor spacing and to provide some instant offense when one of Luka or LeBron takes a break. And that has been an absolute joke, just terrible. This man is living off of that Eastern Conference Finals run where he kind of saved the Heat because Jimmy Butler just kind of started running out of gas against the Celtics. He is living off of that postseason run. He really is. I've never seen a player live off of one playoff run like that. I mean, it is absolutely ridiculous. It's just insane. You know, I mean, he can't shoot. He's a bad decision maker outright as a point guard, so you don't want him handling the ball too terribly much. He can't get to the rim. Every shot he takes is a spot up three. That's his whole shot chart is just spot up threes. He used to have a little bit of a dribble pull up game, but he can't get around people anymore, and he's not big enough to shoot over the top of people. So like what are we doing? Why is Gabe Vincent getting minutes? Because there's no other options. Half of this team's roster doesn't belong on an NBA floor. I mean, it's just outright abysmal. It's embarrassing. I don't like it. I don't like watching it. It's made watching Luka a headache because Luka is sick of it. Luka is getting to the point where Luka just it's getting worse than it was in Dallas. I complained about this when he was in Dallas watching him in person. Um, I never liked the complaining at first. I actually really didn't like Luka. But you see it now, and it's like, oh my gosh, I wouldn't play defense on this team either. You know, you kind of see where he's coming from with some of these complaints. I mean, it's getting ridiculous. He's playing with people who don't belong in the league, let alone on a serious competitive roster, and he's out here averaging 33 points with 8 rebounds and 9 assists on decent enough efficiency, but he's the entire offense. The ball in his is in his hands even more than it was in Dallas. This is a guy who is not going to play until he's 35. He said himself he doesn't want to play for forever. A lot of that is just because he's got mileage on him. He's been a pro in basketball for since he was what, 14, 15? He was playing 90 to 100 games a year between Real Madrid, his actual club, international games, FIBA. Like, people don't understand. He's played more basketball than the kids on these AAU programs that we grew up playing on. Like, it's actually insane the amount of mileage he's got on him compared to these American prospects nowadays. So what what are the Lakers doing? What is their game plan? Their game plan long term is obviously they're waiting out LeBron retiring. Um, Given the cap situation, I don't think they can even use the money from LeBron retiring. I don't even think that's necessarily an option. I don't think they can really do much with that money because of the way the aprons work. So the game plan isn't really just, oh well, when LeBron's gone, we can sign a real number two option for Luka, or we can sign a number three like Jaren Jackson who kind of hides Luka and AR's problems. That's not happening. AR is your only trade piece. He's the only guy on the team who has any sort of trade value. You have Rui, who may provide something. You have Connect, who may provide something, but you've already pissed him off and cratered his value by trading him and then untrading him. I think at this point you'd rather have Mark Williams, surely. I mean, just from a basketball common sense perspective, I think you'd rather have I think you'd rather have Mark Williams who's actually at least playing for you. Connect can't break the rotation. Is Mark Williams hurt a lot? Sure, absolutely he is. Um I'd rather have a guy who's hurt and fills a need, and that way you can have, well, at least the idea of him, he fills a need that we have on this roster. But with the way that the roster is currently set up, like Connect isn't doing anything. He's not even really getting even garbage time, I don't think. I mean, he gets the brawny mop up minutes. They signed Kobe Buffkin. Kobe Buffkin's all right. But again, they don't give him that many minutes. So it's like, what do you really expect out of Kobe Buffkin? Like, Kobe Buffkin is not going to be the answer. He may get hot in the same way that Nick Smith Jr. may get hot every now and then, knock down a couple of shots, give you some offense, but they're not like serious long-term answers to your playoff rotation. These aren't guys who are going to come in and do something that Luka and AR can't. Offense is not this Laker roster's issue. Their issue, more often than not, is just the load that is on your three biggest stars, and then the complete lack of any kind of competence. It would be nice to have shooters. It would be better to have defenders. And when you have guys like Marcus Smart and Jared Vanderbilt who are supposed to be defenders and they're not playing defense at even a passable level, it's kind of like, okay, well, what are we doing here? People want to blame Luka solely for this team's issues. This is not a Luka problem. And it's not going to get fixed with Luka not complaining to the refs. And that's not going to stop even if that was the solution. So good luck on that front. Um, Not happening. But at the same time, that's not going to fix your issue either. You know, that's just simply not going to fix the problem that this team has. This team is a joke, top to bottom. You have three NBA players on your roster and Rui sometimes. Maybe Aiton, but that's like 20% of your games. And Jake LaRavia is just a steady, he's there type of a guy. You don't have any kind of shot creation outside of Luka and LeBron, especially right now with Reeves out, you know. You just have zero shot creation outside of those two. One of those two has to be on the floor. LeBron's 40. You can't expect him to be your savior, you know? He's 40 years old. His time has come. We all miss the days when LeBron was a dominant NBA player. Like, I miss hating on him. A lot of people miss enjoying him. It's kind of over from that aspect of it. Like, he's just not gonna consistently save your franchise in that way, you know? This is just not something where LeBron is a magical fix. It really is just kind of one of those deals where it's like, hey man, we might have to consider the reality that this entire roster sucks. Marcus Smart, terrible. Never want to see him play basketball again. Gabe Vincent should have been out of the league 4 or 5 years ago. You got to remember, dude, Gabe Vincent was hated when they had LeBron and AD there. All right. Gabe Vincent was never the answer and really was never like a decent answer in the league. He had one playoff run where the Miami Heat got very lucky to have him. And outside of that, man, the guy's been kind of bad. You know, like there's a reason he kind of came up out of nowhere and suddenly became good. Victor Oladipo was easy to predict if you were paying attention to the OKC Thunder late when Russell Westbrook was breaking that record. If you weren't, well, then yeah, sure, Oladipo came out of nowhere. Gabe Vincent came out of nowhere and has returned to absolutely nowhere. Jared Vanderbilt was run out of the Timberwolves for not being, you know, a good enough defender to stay on that roster, despite being a defensive specialist on a roster predicated around playing defense. They picked Jaden McDaniels over him. They made the right call because lately they've been quite a competent franchise outside of overpaying for Gobert, bidding against themselves for zero reason. It's just been kind of a joke to watch this team over the last, you know, year since they've traded for Luka. We're kind of approaching the 1 year mark of Luka getting there and really being gifted to them. And we've got an embarrassing first round exit to show for it and a really, really, really bad roster this year to show for it. We don't have anything positive going. Vanderbilt got ran out of Minnesota. Marcus Smart was on a dying Wizards roster. I mean, like, he wasn't getting minutes on the Wizards. He wasn't getting minutes on the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies brought him in to be a culture changer akin to Dylan Brooks. Dylan Brooks is averaging 20. Dylan Brooks looks like he's rejuvenated his career in in Phoenix of all places. Not necessarily a place you go to rejuvenate your career, you know? I mean, it's become a joke, man. And it really is sad because I love Luka as a player. I love the idea of Luka. I wish Luka the best. I wish Luka won that ring in Dallas. I wish I could have been there to see more of Luka in Dallas. But man, since joining the Lakers, his career has been completely sabotaged by an absolutely incompetent front office. Whether you want to say that's Dallas's or Los Angeles's, that's completely up to you. But I'm sick and tired of the blaming Luka entirely for this. You have Rich Paul and Austin Reeves' agent, whose name escapes me at the moment, going at it publicly in very public settings because of Rich Paul's podcast comments. This is not a good look. This is not just a Luka thing. This is a fundamental Laker problem. Rob Pelinka is a terrible general manager and has terrible roster construction sense. He is bad at his job. You got lucky with Luka. Let's not fumble that, please, for the sake of basketball fans everywhere. Let's please stop wasting superstars.